This is how much we know about movies. We if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it. Through the magic
I mean, you don't
of
have
podcasting.
to Google it. I'm just saying, you just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Now I'm shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. Yeah, let's do this. So the best thing I want to do, especially for anybody who's just found our podcast. Okay, so you're like looking for Game of Thrones, and like Two Dads Review pops up, and great. I'm glad that the search bar actually got you to as number one. Number two, I want to say how nice it is to get ready right now to start reviewing a show where I actually know more than the characters do, as opposed to what we've been reviewing where we literally don't know shit. And if you're just finding us, we're currently finishing up Star Trek Discovery. We've got one more episode to do, and we're 13 episodes in and know very, very little about how it's all going to wrap up. But to turn the tide on that, you have Game of Thrones where you're sitting there like watching all these people like meet up for the first time in seasons, and you're like, ooh, some shit's happened since y'all, like, oh, you're gonna, all that stuff. Like, that was the best part of the episode, was like, I actually know everything, and they know nothing. Like, they don't know shit about what's going on, like, what has happened. And it was a nice breath of fresh air. Oh, and also that it's a completely, or for the most part, logical show isn't correct, but like, it's not a clusterfuck like Discovery's turning out to be. I don't know how to put that. It's
just like a solid change of pace. Like, it's just,
you can't compare the two. I'm not trying to.
No, there's no way to compare the two. But I mean, as far as like polar opposites of shows go, like, they're pretty different. Like, I mean, one is way fantasy, like just straight up lives in it. Like, everything is make believe, completely pulled out of the imagination. Like. And the other one's like, yeah, we're going to dabble in a little bit of reality and a little bit of pseudoscience, but more like actual theories of science that just haven't been proven or disproven yet. Right. Like, I mean, we have zombie snowmen, so like, I don't really think like Discovery's going to branch that way, too hard. But you're right. It's cool because this is one of those shows where they're like, we will flood you with character information, and you will still be surprised at what happens. And it's not always because, like, you don't know the story. Like, even though you do know, it never goes the way your brain has it going. The show does a really good job of, like, yeah, you were on the right path. Like, but when there's those last, like, puzzle pieces and you can't touch the one or you die by the spikes? Yeah, you hit the last one. You died by the spikes. Like, and you're like, I fucking almost got it, and like, you're just, Where Discovery, you go, I just threw chicken bones in the fucking air and, like, I'm waiting for them to hit the ground and, like, gonna read them. Right? Where's the tea leaves? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
It just seems more convoluted than, like, I recognize and appreciate the sculpting of the Game of Thrones, like, plot lines all the way to the end, where you can pretty much look at the run times of the next 5 episodes and be like, okay, so this was everybody's gathering together. Next episode is going to be a little more gathering together, and then the last 4 is just going to be. It's like it would be like a roller coaster. Like, you're going up the hill for the first 2, and then the rest is just the top of the hill. You're going down and just screaming the whole way. And that's exactly how the last 4 episodes are going to be. It's just going to be one after another, like, major giant battle scene or crazy plot twist that you didn't see coming, or waiting on who's going to die. At least this first episode was not, because we kind of made a joke last week on our Discovery podcast that we're going to tune in every week for this and be like, all right, who's dying this week? Like, who's dead? Who bit it this week? But we did lose one person in a really fucked up way. Like, we're not actually, he was already gone, but like his continuance was real fucked up, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But it has been, and I pulled up a website to do the math for me, Corey, because first off, this is like a full circle thing for us because this podcast started with season 7 of Game of Thrones, and that's how long it's been. And since then, it has been 1 year and 7 months and 19 days since the last episode of Game of Thrones aired from when we got the premiere on Sunday. It had been just over a year from season 6 to season 7, but it's been almost 2 years for this one. And that's man, and it's going to be worth I will guarantee it's going to be worth the wait the entire time.
I hope so. I mean, it better be, kind of thing. But I mean, there hasn't been a bad season ever in this show. There's maybe been an episode you're like, but overall every season's been stellar. So I don't anticipate any drop of any sorts. I really wish they would just 2 years from now have a 3-hour movie for some a continuation of some shit, and then another 3 years, another 2 years, just drop another movie. And it's,
they have spinoffs that are planned. I didn't go into looking up, but HBO has certain spinoffs planned, mostly dealing with times before this, like the Dunk and Egg stuff, and I know there's maybe one or two others that are planned right now. But for this one, I do know there is something the Sunday after the finale of the season. There's another episode, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's dealing with. It's not an official episode, but it's something for Game of Thrones is happening on their normal time the Sunday after. And I don't know. I saw something about it this evening, and I was like, well, what are we talking about?
They just laid out all of their awards they ever won, and it's just a camera rolling over all of them for 25 minutes because there's so fucking many.
Right, or it could be. I would like for them to tell me the whole story in an hour. You know what I'm saying? Start me from the beginning and kind of jump me through everything so I can oh, that's all that I watched. That's fantastic. That's been the majority of my 30s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would. I mean, that would be cool. I did read something that the author was for Game of Thrones to stay true to books, it would take at least another 5 seasons. I was like,
yeah, well,
Lord.
that's great, except the fact that we were past his books and they're never coming out. I don't have any faith that guy's not going to have a coronary before he finishes the last 2 books. So, whatever.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it would be different if the guy was a healthy, in shape, old guy. But I mean, they could die too. But this guy, it's like, dude, you're.
Yeah, but he's probably one of those dudes that has been on the cusp of that for so long that any changes in it will just fucking ruin it.
You definitely don't want to lose it now.
Yeah, but if
then your heart will quit on you.
If he maintains, he's got at least another 20 in him. It's just all whether he wants to put it out or not.
Yeah, if he wants to actually write a book. God damn it. I got halfway through Dance with Dragons and I was like, okay, you know what? This isn't going to get anywhere near towards the end of what I want to read, so I'm just going to wait. If they don't come out, then I guess I'll finish it up at some point. I've read the first 4 or whatever it is. But, yeah. It's just nice. I'm so glad that, watching that, just watching this episode, I was just like, this is... And the best part about this show, unlike... Not that you can't do it with Star Trek, but sometimes even the futuristic stuff doesn't hold up because at some point our technology passes what's on the screen. So you've got the original series, which you have, way better stuff than they ever had. You've got TNG, where we have a lot of the things they already have there, minus transporters and phasers type stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but the best thing about Game of Thrones is that I could pull this out in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, watch the entire series, and it's still going to be just as relevant as it is right now. Because that's the best part about fantasy TV is that fantasy TV and movies is that it's ageless. It's set in a fantasy world that doesn't exist, and it tells relevant storylines between human beings that will be true now as it will be 100 years from now. And that's the best part about this, is because I can pull this out when my son's of age to watch it and be like, sit down, son, let me show you something. And binge that shit for 5 weekends straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you can only do that in a fantasy world if it is your time and previous. As soon as you add any kind of this is how the future's going to be, Like you kind of like you fuck it up. Like
True.
It's not as timeless then. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. It has to be pure fantasy, like horses and wagons type stuff.
Yeah, like it'll remain.
It can't be like Dune.
It'll remain timeless as long as whatever crazy space thing you thought of, no one has been like, oh, that's just implausible, or oh shit, we did that. Like,
right. It can never have any sort of right. You're right. I use the term fantasy like loose, like as a larger thing. You're right. When it comes to horses and wagons, dragons and steel, swords and arrows type shit, not like Dune with spice and space travel and all the other crazy shit, giant sandworms and shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that part of me is like, part of me is excited about like, what's my son's 5 now, so what, 10 to 12 years from now being like, hey, you know how you don't really talk to your old man anymore? Like, sit down, let me show you something. And like, first episode of Game of Thrones, and it'd be like, oh, I heard about this show, but no one ever watched it. Like, you should watch all of this. And then like, let's get him, let's hook him in. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to that.
What if he watches like the first episode and then just looks at you like, why did you show me this trash? Because it is just something.
So much stuff. Why is this only in HD?
It's just, well, yeah, like, right? Why can't I touch this yet? What are you talking about? What is this flat screen TV you pulled out, Dad?
Right? Why can't we play this in the hollow room, Dad?
Yeah.
Like, shut up, son. God, whippersnappers.
Where do I plug the cable in on me? I got my mod.
It doesn't work on my head jack.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, fine. No, because this kind of show will be one of the first things ported over to the new media. Don't worry. I want to stand in Winterfell during the arrival of Robert Baratheon. That's fine. I'm cool. Like, if we want to convert that shit, I'm all for it. I won't think they're playing to the new audience. Trust me. I'll take that any day of the week. All right. So, like, and the last season, this is it. First thing they do is, like, opening credits change everything up. Like, everything about the opening credits was brand new, which it kind of seems like, I'm like, y'all gonna do that now?
I mean,
like,
they might as well, because like, right? Like, they always made minor changes in it, or add.
True, they would change. They would show you where you're going that episode.
Yeah, or they added like a new region if like, something was about to be revealed and stuff, because you'd like watch the map and go, well, what the fuck's that?
Where am I going? What's that?
Yeah,
I'm finally
right?
going there? Yeah.
But like you said, they basically had a year and a half off. Like, the team that does that, they were like, hey guys, guess what? You got a year.
What do you think of this?
Go fucking nuts. Right? Like, it's our last season. Like,
right.
If you make anything on par with the intros you've done previously, you're golden. Right? I honestly feel like that is how that creative conversation went. Like, that manager of that group like went to the guy and was like,
the folks that do the opening credits are the same ones that do the opening credits for Westworld, and they do the opening credits for True Detective. So it's like, of course you guys do great work. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, that guy probably went to like his manager and was like, so they're going to be filming for like a year. And I know we have these other shows, but a year, Tom. Like, what do you want me to do for like a 20-second intro for a year? Like, I can only model and render, but so much
Winterfell
shit
so many times
in this amount of time. Like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, it was always cool. Yeah, it was always cool to watch it change, but like, you knew everything was different when you saw the first band around the sun, and it was the first shot you got was the dragon. So they kind of went, okay, so the old band used to tell the story up until season 1. So it was I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but it was like Baratheon's, his alliance with who he was fighting the battle against the king with, and then his final, completion, and then all of the different houses bowing to the stag, that kind of thing. Like, that's what the story that was told in the Bands Around the Sun as it went through the opening credits. This time it starts with the dragon at the wall blowing it up, and then it goes to the Red Wedding, which has like a lion with a fish in his mouth, which means the Lannisters and the Tullys, like when they conquered them. It also has a dire wolf hanging from the twin towers in the middle of it, talking about the Red Wedding. Wait, yes, And then you also have a flayed man holding the head of a dire wolf, which is the Boltons also talking about the Red Wedding. All of that stuff. So, and then the third band showed the 4 dragons. One of them was meant to represent Daenerys, and the 3 were meant to represent when they were first birthed at the end of season 1. And it also showed the red comet that was talked about and shown during the beginning of season 2. They was supposed to, the red comet that's supposed to bring on Azor Ahai, which is one of those things where we're like, who's that going to be if they're ever going to actually do it? You know what I mean? Nope. I know. You do not want to get into half the shit that I've read and know about this goddamn show.
No, God, no. Jesus Christ. No.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Azor Ahai is supposed to be the one that is supposed to finally topple the Night King or whatever. So the big bad guy.
Gotcha.
But it could be he's supposed to be have the sword. I think Lightbringer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Lightbringer. I was right. I know what I'm doing. His sword is called Lightbringer, and it's the one that for it to be forged, it had to be plunged into the chest of someone he loves deeply, wife or whatever. So that's how they forged the sword. And I believe the sword is on fire. I think it's kind of like Beric's sword, but like for real. Like Beric's is kind of a it is like a trick, but not really a trick. It is on fire and it lights up when he does his thing, but it's not Lightbringer. It's supposed to resemble it though. Yeah. So
I don't know how.
Anyways,
I don't know how you forge something
in someone's chest. Yeah. Fantasy, baby.
Like you would have to put it in through like the top of their head, so it like went all the way in. Because like if you just stuck it in their chest, I guess like the last quarter's getting forged.
Well, I mean, if you do it real slow, maybe it'll cool as it goes. I don't know.
It's gonna be a long time, Tommy. Hold on.
Like, hold on, honey. This is gonna suck.
I really love you, but I need to do this.
This has got to happen for us to bring peace to the kingdom.
Yeah, like I never got those scenarios, right? Like you got to kill something you really love to gain the power of this. I'm like, what the fuck else do you consider more important than the thing you love? Because then you really don't love it if you consider that more important, right? I'm like, there's your fucking conflict of interest right from the get-go. Like, sorry, that's null and void because that's not true.
Well, they love the kingdom more, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, it's that's the whole thing with the comet. Anyways, that was one of the things that was on the band as well. So it's still in there. They're still alluding to it. I mean, they talked about it in season 1, or in season. They had the comet in season 2. So it was one of those. They didn't just put it there for no reason. So I guess we'll figure it out if we actually figure all that out by the end of it. So yeah, interesting. The way we're going to go through our review of the episode, by the way, I don't have even talked to you about this, but instead of going like scene by scene, I've just broken it into like locations, and we'll just talk about what happens at each of those locations.
Yep, that's cool.
That seems to be the easiest way to do it. King's Landing we'll start with, because that's kind of some stuff goes on there that's interesting. Some stuff goes on there that's hilarious. But the first thing we see at King's Landing is Cersei being told by Qyburn that the Whites have broken through the wall and that they're on their way south, and her reaction is like, good. It's like, do you, like, I don't understand if she just doesn't grasp, like, what could possibly happen. Like, if she's ever going to realize that there's a possibility that no one's going to be left, that the person sitting on the Iron Throne at the end of all this, they could literally just make it the Night King.
They might, I mean, but I think that is what makes her like her, though. Like, she is so hell-bent on,
being queen.
Well, I don't even think it's so much as being queen anymore. It was like, I dealt with all of this shit to make all this stuff happen. And then it's kind of like, it was really bad. It's not like she was a great person to begin with, right? But like, she's also had a really fucking hard life as well.
Right.
But
no one could ever claim that that she was a good person.
Yeah,
ever.
no. But it's like at this point, it's like she's lost everything for this stupid fucking throne at this point. And it's like, I would rather watch the world burn because everything she loves is gone. So like, what the fuck does she care? So if The White
So
Walkers.
she's playing the she's playing the if I can't have it, nobody can have it.
Nobody can. And if the White Walkers fucking help her eliminate somebody, I think she's also of the mind that I can make an alliance. Like if at the very least I can make an alliance with whatever's coming our way. You know, like it where we all know it's like that's cool. That they may kill everybody for you. And they're going to get to your door and you're going to be like, "Hey, we got it." And then they're just going to go, "Yeah, you're all dead too." Like we know that. Like I don't and I think if it comes to that, you'll just see like her up on the throne doing that thing where like she's just gulping some wine, like waiting for the door to be broken down, you know, kind of thing, and then fade to black. There's your in. You know,
right.
Like it's done. But yeah, no, she is most certainly, I mean, most people in that kind of situation, like say of losing your family, I don't know a whole bunch of people that would like hang out in the same area. You know, like me personally, like I wouldn't stay in the same house that all of my family had lived in with me. Like I'd be like, no, I got to get the fuck out of this place. Like I probably wouldn't be in the same town, you know, like she could have moved away and reinvented herself. Right. But
go find yourself, girl.
You know, it's with all the shit she's been through, and now the fact that she dealt with all of that, and then everything was taken away from her. But right now, at the end of the day, she still has ultimate power. So it's kind of like, why?
I'm still winning.
I mean, winning, you know, but it's like, why would I give that up? Right? Because in their scenario, even if she comes and helps, it's still a Targaryen and a northerner coming to like move her to the side. Like they're like, "Hey man, you can stay here, I guess, but like you don't run shit anymore. Like you want a nice house?" Right. Like I mean, so she's like, "What? I'm just going to get fucked and literally and figuratively, like in ways she never fucking wanted, and then have all the power, then someone come in and go, well, I'm the rightful blood here, blah, blah, blah." Like, fuck that, dude. I'd be the same. If I was in her shoes and I had to marry like a female version of Robert Baratheon that was just like utter shit to me and fucking raised that way, yeah, dude, I'd be like, fuck it. Scorch everything until they get to my doorstep. Do not give a fuck.
Right. I mean, yeah, honestly, you can't even, you're just throwing more bodies towards what, you know, will end up being raised up to be part of the army of the dead anyways. That's the worst part is like every person who's downed is literally on the other side. Every person that dies in battle. Like, hey guys, try not to die.
Didn't they figure out though, like if you kill one of the big boss guys, like it drops the whole fucking herd that's like connected to him?
Correct. That is a thing.
So, you know, it's like,
but you got to get to him first.
Well, that's true, but I'm also kind of surprised, like, that has not really been brought up a lot more, right? Because they got all this dragon glass and stuff, and you know, like, where those fucking 4 dudes are that, like, sit up on the top of the horses, right? Like, it's an artillery attack, man. Throw some concentrated fucking black arrows up that way and let that shit go to town real quick, like, and then you may...
Yeah, that still requires being way too close to that army than you want to be right now.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying, like, you gotta figure out a way to take out large chunks of them, you know?
Agreed.
Like, you can't just go, we're gonna go behind the wall and start picking them off at the front, you know, especially when you know that, like, when he stabbed that one guy and then all of a sudden they all were just, like, fucking flicked off real quick. I don't know how fucking any Lannister at this point has not like brought that up because they're all pretty like good at, hey, this is a good way to kill something.
Right. Very true. That's a very good point. And you know, it's all that's going through my head is like, well, just have a bunch of sharp, spiky shit and just like of dragon glass and just fly the dragons really high and just start dropping them where the 4 are sitting.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like an artillery strike, you know. I mean,
yep.
You know, but because they're kind of like, we know fire burns them, and we know if we stab them with this stuff, they'll die. And it's kind of like they're like, and we got 2 dragons. Yeah, right there. You got a ghost on you.
Something walked over my grave. Man,
you twitched so hard, I thought like my neck hurt. I was like, ooh, shit, dude. But yeah, right. I mean, I want to like, I hope they have like a wartime strategy meeting of like, you know, kind of like they did when Tyrion basically, you know, mustered fucking bomb the goddamn ocean. Right? Like I want to see that strategy, like where they're playing out of how they're gonna eliminate
large chunks of these.
These things, because they know they're just picking up bodies as they're coming along. I mean, they can't just go, yeah, we're gonna have all these night guys just hack and slash until they all die, and then it's like they're relying on dragons gonna fly by and burn them all, and like that'll be enough. But they're still moving when they're on fucking fire until that finally like takes care of it, you know? Like, and I hate to tell you guys, but they got through a giant wall of fucking ice,
right,
fairly easily.
Yeah, and it's and having dragons now isn't that big of a deal because there's one on their side. So that fight's going to be insane.
Yeah, right. Like that is just going to like I bet you that dragon like
nightmare.
Fucks up both dragons.
I just don't know how he can aerodynamically fly anymore. Even last season, like his wings were already having holes and shit in them. I'm like that's not gonna. He's not gonna be able to fly much longer. Like I realize this is fancy. There's just certain aerodynamics to just make it so it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things where when anything is reanimated, there's just a natural
horror of anti-physics.
Right? Well, yeah, like, and I don't, like, I'm not trying to, like, explain it away, but it's kind of like, right, if you can be brought back to life, and I don't mean, like, you know, resuscitated, like, you were fucking dead for a good year and a half,
stuff still falling off you as you're walking around. Right.
And you come back, it's kind of like whatever tuning fork plays with the universe, like you're able to like move that a little bit. So kind of like it's almost like to me, it's like whatever Cosmo goo that's bringing that to life is just actually like coated over everything. So like, is it
right?
Is Wind really?
So he's flies real good.
Really going through that hole? You know what I'm like? Because there's a lot of weird anti-science going on.
Yeah, man. I like that. I like that works.
Yeah.
That works. So Cersei is, when she's told that, she's overlooking Euron Greyjoy's fleet coming back from retrieving and hiring the Golden Company. So that's cool. They meet up in the throne room the next time, and Euron is introducing Captain, I wrote it, didn't I? Harry Strickland, that's his name. We get to meet him for the first time. And the sad part, and apparently what the entire internet is like crying about this week, do you know what it is?
Nope.
There's no elephants. And that's like one of the big things when in the books when they talk about the Golden Company is that like they fight and they have elephants in their army.
I mean, yeah.
And like them writing it like, they're not really conditioned for long sea voyages. It's kind of like the writers going, you already have dragons. Like, we don't have the budget for elephants. Shut up.
Yeah.
So,
it's like you couldn't give me any like Alexander the Great scenes.
Yeah.
You know?
Give me some of that shit from like 300, man. Wasn't there some elephants in 300?
Yeah, there
was.
was like those elephants and they had like the rhino, but like remember, did you watch the Alexander the Great movie with Colin Farrell?
Yeah. I know of it. I'm not sure if I watched it. If I did, it was a long time ago.
But there's like a whole scene where they're like marching in, and he comes like riding up on his, you know, his horse, his like white stallion or whatever it is, and fucking face to face with like a war elephant, and they both like fucking rear up, and the camera's like out. And I just remember those elephants. I was like, dude, whatever crazy motherfucker back in the day was like, I'm gonna train that thing to go fuck up shit, was a genius. Because
right.
Like, and they decked them out too. That was the cool part. Like their trunks were all like fucking goldened, and like, you know, they were adorned in like war gear. So yeah, it would have been cool if we could have seen like Lord of the Rings kind of elephant. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an elephant, but it looks a little more mythical to it, right?
Yeah, or just you just decked. I mean, especially because it's a Golden Company, so like you know he's gonna be all sorts of decked out, looking all sorts of cool.
Yeah, just give me the Mr. T of fucking elephants.
Right. And actually, before Euron and them go to the throne room, we see him on his main ship with, he still has Yara, like he took her hostage way back when. And he's had her forever, and he discusses his plans of, now I'm delivered the Gold Company, now I'm going to fuck me a queen type thing. And he also, I think he said that all of his army, like he cut all their tongues out. That's why he was saying it was like there's nobody to talk to, even though he has the entire gold company. Like I think something when he went nuts on the sea before he came back. When he was like exiled, like he went nuts and like as their leader when he was running around, he cut all their tongues out. That joined him. Like that was one of the things.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was like. I wasn't sure if he was talking about like he did that or if that was like kind of like one of those things where the gold company like. All of those guys are mutes, like so they can't argue.
I initially thought that was the thing, but no, it was just his people on his ships. Mm. So from what I read and understand, I could be wrong. Tweet at me if I'm wrong. Whatever. But yeah, so back in the throne room, after he introduces the captain, then he requests his payment from the queen via her vagina, I guess. I don't know the best way to put it, but like for a while there, it looks like she's gonna stave him off. He's like, she promised him after the war was over, but at some point, reluctantly, you can probably, from what it looks like, reluctantly, she invites him, to her bed chambers or whatever.
Yeah, well, she like gives that whole speech about like earn it, and then he kind of like comes back and goes, "Well, here's like the 4 really fucking gigantic things that I've already done, and by the way, wars can take years, so we're at a standstill with this," because he's kind of like, I may die, gotta make sure I give you an heir. That, and he's also like, I just want to get laid. There's like especially when you do a whole like bloodline is king shit. Mm-hmm. Like there's a whole litany of things that just go into sex. Like I mean, like sex is never just sex ever, right? It's not just like 2 people fucking and going their separate ways and being like awesome. There's always something else around it. But like this shit is like, well, we got like this domino overlapping with this domino track, and if like I'm not banging you now, then that domino may never fall, and then your domino's down the road. It's like, oh shit, and the worst part is like with her agreements, the bloodline is like always the binding thing.
Do you remember from last season, that she's currently pregnant now by Jaime, correct? Remember that at the very end of last season?
Yeah.
It's been almost 2 years. It's okay if you don't. I'll remind you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the other thing is I'm wondering if she's like, okay, it's only been so long, like I need another excuse of whose child it is type thing. But then she's like, do I really want it to be this guy's kid? Do I want to say it's his kid type thing? Because he definitely, when we see the scene later on after their, post-coital times, and he's having a conversation, first Alpha asking, like, how do I compare? I'm like, what the like, what are you doing, dude?
I like how he was even like, how do I compare to your brother?
Oh, that was like some shade right there. Well, it's like, I'm not even going to put it to this. Like, it's always been like unspoken. Well, and when it is spoken of, that person usually gets killed.
Well, that's true. But it's like, incest is gross.
Very.
Like, you're just not supposed to fuck family. It's just how it goes. But in this show, it's a thing. And we were all brought face to face with it when we were not expecting it, especially if you didn't read the fucking stories at all.
Right.
So,
like episode 1, season 1.
Yeah. I like how he calls it out, but it also makes you go like, dude, like how fucking bonkers are you? Like, why do you want to know that conversation? Like, it's just like how morally broke is your compass, or like how many
Euron's probably real broke.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, that's just it. Like it's a very subtle way to illustrate how like insane this fucking dude is. Because like when he says things like, I cut all their tongues out and blah blah blah, that almost doesn't really make him seem that crazy. Because you're just like, well, you're a murderous pirate. You guys are Greyjoys. Like you do some fucked up shit.
Right.
But then the whole just like in banter, like, am I better than the king? Oh yeah, blah blah blah. Like more effort, I guess you could say. Basically, is what she told him. And then he's like, yeah, well, how about your brother then?
Yeah, am I better than the Kingslayer?
Like, I'm like, dude, that guy, like, that's like when you're talking to someone and you kind of have like a weird feeling about them, but you're like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then they say that one thing and you go, I need to exit this conversation and never see this person again. Like, she's stuck with that though. Like, that's where she was like, all right, I'm gonna go hitch my horse to this.
Well, I felt like this episode was a whole lot of watching people's faces and not what they're saying, but more of their reactions to what was being said, or the reactions to a conversation, or the reactions to seeing somebody. Like, there's a lot of like watching facial expressions, which is why the crew this acting crew is just amazing, because you can just tell. But like as he left after like touching her belly, like she looks like she's like she's starting to, like they didn't even let us as the audience see her weeping, but you saw her like do that first like shoulder shrug and the face kind of cracked. And you're like, oh, like you're like, you've been this stoic, like you've had your moments where things have gone to shit for you. And of course, yeah, you walk naked down an entire street and yeah, you're crying after that. That's understandable. But like when you're in your element and you've done this is something you chose to do. And then at the end, you're like, almost like, can you not even, are you just tired of it? Like, I can't anymore. Is that what it is? I want to know what she was feeling at that point. It's like, is her like drive like finally being broken? It's finally just not there anymore.
I think it's just probably more of a female having sex with someone she doesn't want to.
Yes, in any other show, I would completely say that's all it was.
No, man, like that.
She's used sex for,
but it is when she has also been used for sex.
Oh yeah.
And the only person she's ever loved is Jamie. Everybody else is just a contract, and most of them she didn't fucking sign up for.
True.
She was given. So it's not like she's the quote unquote like whore of Babylon that's like just like using sex to fucking manhunt. Like everybody that she's ever bedded but her brother is, I mean, unfortunate as that is to say, like she's never wanted to. Like she's never wanted to sleep with Robert.
Right. Like, she's never wanted anybody but her brother.
Yeah, like that to me is not like so much of like letting her go. That is just feeling gross.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you would think somebody, but someone like Cersei, like my idea of like feeling gross after something, like that's how she spends her entire day every day. So for her to be like to where she feels gross has to be like an extreme. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't, but that's just like assuming that she's gotten numb to like that. Like, I don't think you get accustomed to that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like a person entering you when you don't want it.
I don't know.
You know, like
I don't know.
That it just, that whole scene, especially with him, like, I'm gonna put a prince in your belly. Like that was just a, you know, like you said, she's already pregnant with like,
well, okay,
that we think that,
she's supposed to be, and yeah. Now it could have been it could be breaking down because she chose not to drink wine last season towards the end after she found she was pregnant, but literally when she got done having sex with Euron, she was drinking a glass of wine. So maybe in the off season, and they'll say it in another episode, like, that she had a miscarriage, and then like, oh shit, now I'm like, I may have a baby with this fucking douchebag. You know,
and it could be something like that. But I just took that whole scene right there is just, and honestly, instead of doing like the behind the closed door scene where you see the before action, like they did hey, we just opened the door so you get to see the very tail end of this interaction. Feel good about yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And like, that's what it was for me. And it was just an uncomfortable like feeling, you know, like, and yeah. Whether it was consensual by contract, like it's just still something she didn't want, you know? And like when he left, right. I think that was, especially because he fucking touched her. It was just like that, don't ever fucking touch me again feeling, you know? Like when you see, like, you read news articles and the old rapist just walked in the aisle smiling, or you hear the serial killer talking about how he loved doing the terrible things, you know? You're just like, the fuck's wrong with you, man? Like, you know, like,
right.
I feel like if he would have just had sex with her, and walked out the door and been like, all right, hey, I'm going to go hit the ships and get back on with our contract, she may have not even have emoted the way she
Right.
did. But the fact that he like touched her and was like, I'm going to put a prince in your belly was just like, oh, like to me.
The straw. That broke the
Yeah,
camel's
it just
back.
was like, God damn it. Because it's like, it's just it's like an ownership thing, you know? Like, and she has to feel like, all I've done is clawed my fucking way to the top. And because I don't have a penis, I'm fucked again. You know, it's just like, goddamn, right?
Speaking of fucked, so the last thing we see in King's Landing is Bronn. Bronn is in his his 4-way he's about to crank off. And so they have some banter. Something that the girls say to each other while they're starting on him was like, hey, did you hear what happened to Ed, from the King's Guard or whatever? And yeah, he got his, his eyelids burned off, like he came back and his whole face are gone. That was in reference to Ed Sheeran's character from last season. Remember the guy who already came up on him and he was singing, and kind of like the internet, all the fans were like, did you really put Ed Sheeran in this? Like, I understand having like cameos, but that guy needs, that person gets like shot, not, an arrow through the eye, like later on in this episode. But like Ed Sheeran, like you got to sing a song and all this other bullshit. Like everybody like lost their mind. So I think that was kind of the writers like, here you go, here's one for you guys. Like he got his face burned off. Are you happy now? Like he's not going to be around. But the whole point of the thing with Bronn is that Qyburn sneaks in very quietly, creepily quietly, by the way.
I'm a very sneaky man, sir.
Yeah, and Cersei has hired Bronn to hunt down and kill Jaime and Tyrion with the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill their father. Mm-hmm. So that's deep, and that's going to go so many ways, because you can think that last season during the fight where the dragon, where we first see the dragon attack the Lannisters when they're out by the water, the one scene where they had all where they fired the bolt at the dragon.
About.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Like, I got it.
During that scene, Bronn had said something to Jaime like, you don't get to die. Dragons can't kill you. You can't even kill you. Until I get what I'm owed, only I can kill you. So I know we were like, oh, that's funny, Bronn, because they're like friends. They've been around each other all the time. But like, we'll see how far he decides to take it, because he's been friends with both of them, or at least worked with both of them, and hasn't really worked for Cersei, but he is always about money. And, he doesn't have his castle anymore because of whatever happened last season. I forget how all that went down, but he doesn't have what he was originally given. And she pretty much wheeled up an entire cart full of gold outside the whorehouse he was at. So the man's got some money now.
Yeah,
but not the pox, thank God.
Yeah, right. Which one of you?
He's like, I like how he choked. He's like, which one?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't like his character. And I mean, I know Game of Thrones like throws curveballs, but it's more like just a good guy dying kind of thing. Like, Bronn's not going to cross the other Lannisters. And for one reason alone. He'll see the White Walkers, and he's not fucking stupid. Like, there may be a point where, like, he gets really close to killing Jaime or something like that, but it won't ever happen.
Right. And I heard someone say it today. It all depends on where you put him in the that 9 square alignment system when it comes to chaotic neutral, chaotic good, lawful, that 9 square. If you consider him like chaotic neutral, where he's like, I'll go whichever way you want to, and I'll just fucking wreak havoc, or if you consider him chaotic good, if he's good if he's in the background, he's good, but he will do some fucked up shit if he has to, type thing. Like, it all depends on where you line him up and where you think he lines up when it comes to the show.
Yeah, well, and I mean, he's already proven that he's chaotic good. At no point has he been chaotic neutral. Right.
Well, but he's not necessarily done. Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, he's saved Jaime, he's saved Tyrion, he's like helped them escape. Like, he's done all of the good guy shit that you don't do. Like, at no point has he like fucked a Stark over severely, or you know what I'm saying? Like, he's never done anything like that. Mm-hmm. Previously, maybe, but in this story arc that we've known him in, he's only been aligned in like the chaotic good. Like, at the end of the day, if shit's really going to shit, like, I'm all for saving the earth. you know. But he's also like, I don't really give a fuck if you're a good guy. Like, if it gives me a couple $1,000s at the end of the day, that doesn't bother me because the world is still moving. But when that might be stopping, then I'm all for whoever's saving that. And I think, right, in the way they've kind of shown him in this show, especially with like stuff like him teaching Jaime how to fight when he lost his hand. Like, if he was chaotic neutral, he would have probably killed Jaime and just took his shit.
Right.
Right. And he would have been like, cool, I got a gold hand.
Right. So that's literally that's going to be his arc for the season. Like it's him going and heading out, and we see what he's going to do with all this. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those things in the background, like, oh shit, Bronn's getting close to blank Tyrion or Jaime. What's going to happen? And then but you also have to remember that Tyrion told him way back when, he's like, if anyone ever hires you to kill me, I will pay you double. Like that's like his standing thing. Like whatever you're getting, I'll give you twice. Yep. Just don't kill me, which is great. And that's saying like, okay, so here's what I've been told. I got you dead to rights. You gonna pay me double? Because that's what it is. Yeah. And Tyrion's like, yes, every time. So that's all that happens at King's Landing. That's all we get at King's Landing, and it kind of set the tone for that section. The one thing that it did happen kind of at King's Landing, but in the Narrow Sea, is we see Theon breaking out Yara. Now, do you watch It's Always Sunny?
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch the cameo there? So Rob McInerney is the name of the guy that plays Ronald MacDonald on It's Always Sunny, right?
Yeah.
He was the one that got the arrow through the eye as they were coming on the ship.
Nice.
So he was in there, and Martin Starr of Knocked Up in Silicon Valley was also another comedian that was killed. But the best part was the guy who got the axe in the face as Theon came through the door and he had to pull the axe out of his head and it was all spurred. That was the writer of that scene.
Yeah, nice.
And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, I saw an interview with the writer. He's like, it's, you just write down 4 words, but you don't think anything of it, but then when you have to actually go through the whole process to make the prosthetic, to get the axe put into your face, to get the blood stuff run, he's like, I have a better respect for a lot of that stuff right now. Like guard takes axe to face, like that's all you write, and then all of a sudden, like you're like, I got to go through all this. So I thought that was cute that they put him like, oh, you want to write that? Good, you're in it. You're the guy. You're him. Nice. So that's who did that. So Theon breaks Yara out. Because I guess Euron and all his folks were like gone at winter, or they were in King's Landing, so like their boats weren't guarded enough, but guarded by the the losers of the group.
Yeah, there was probably like the
B team,
the lowest rung totem pole, skeleton crew.
Right, comedians and writers.
Because I would imagine all of the soldiers that were bought got the fuck off those boats and were like, yeah. Where's my quarters?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, I don't know, where's my women, dudes, whatever they're into. And right. I'm most positive, 1,000% certain that everyone from the Isles was like, just where's the whorehouse? Like, they didn't even care for water or food. It was just, where is sex? And that's where they went.
So Yara and them escape. And they're sailing back to the Iron Isles because all of Euron's fleet is not there. They're like, we'll just take our islands back and we'll just go chill because the White Walkers can't get to us. They can't cross the sea to get to us, or so she thinks. And she can tell that Theon's like whimpering, like, I really need to go fight with the Starks. And so she's like, you just go. You can go. I don't have a problem with that. And I like how they say their house motto, what is dead may never die. And then she goes, but go kill the bastards anyways, meaning, yeah, you're about to go fight what is dead. And according to our saying, what is dead can never die, but please go kill the dead things that are coming to us.
Right, yeah.
Go do that. I thought that was cute, the way she said that. So now we're at Winterfell, and that's most of what we're going to talk about for the next, I don't know how long this podcast is going to be, but almost all of the stuff that happened at Winterfell you could line up with a lot of the shots from season 1, episode 1 to like it's crazy. Like the little boy that's running through the crowd and then he gets like to the edge. And
where did you read all this? Because I know this is not you putting these two scenes together. Like, how much time do you spend reading breakdown shit? Like,
I look at it all, man.
Absurd. It is absurd.
I look at it all. I will see. I recognize I didn't have to look up all of it. A lot of the reviews and recaps that I watch after the show comes out to like get myself centered and figure out exactly what I missed, because I've watched it twice and I still don't have a, thesaurus or encyclopedia of Game of Thrones in my head. Like, I recognize at least this first shot, like the boy running through the crowd, and like when he stepped aside, like when he got to like the wall of people and the person stepped aside to let him through to see, and that person was Arya. That's exactly almost verbatim what happened when she was trying to get a better look at Robert Baratheon and his party coming into Winterfell as well. Mm-hmm. So it was just the same music. I didn't know this, but I looked it up. The same music was playing throughout those scenes. It was played in episode 1. And it's called I think the title of the song is called The King's Arrival. But it's, and there's a whole bunch of that stuff. And I loved, so speaking about looking at people's faces this episode, because all it is like, I loved the like 18 different emotions that Arya showed just on her face as the procession was coming through. Like, she saw Jon and like got all excited, and like next to him she saw Dany and she was like harumph. And then she saw the Hound and she's like, oh, okay, so you're not dead. And she saw Gendry and she's like, what up, boo? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, just great.
Oh my, you've gotten toned from all that blacksmithing I see there, like, sir.
You've been swinging that hammer, sir. Yeah, and I loved like all of the North, like all the people from, the North are all standing there on the street and they're all watching. They're just giving this like super stank eye to Dany, and, her and Jon are having the conversation about how they're not real welcoming to, non-Northerners. And like, it's a great cure for stank eye? 2 fucking dragons. Because those people are like, they're like, man, we fucking hate you. And then a dragon shows up and everyone's like, fucking run! They're just all gone. They're just like, and Dany's face, like, she just has this like smirk. But I love that, like, the only person other than her who's like in awe, well, I mean, Dany's not in awe, but like, of all the Northerners that are running, Arya turns and like the look on her face is like when you walked into your first Toys R Us, as it rest in peace, first Toys R Us as a child, and you're like, holy shit, this is for real. Like, that's Arya's look at the dragons, and Sansa's too, practically, when they come flying over the top of Winterfell.
Yeah, and that also is a prime scene why she should not rule.
Because she's too awestruck by things that are fucking awesome?
No.
She doesn't have a poker face?
No, when she's riding through with her dragons and
Dany. I thought you about Arya. I was like, Arya should totally be.
Yeah, I mean, Arya shouldn't be ruling because it's just not her thing. Like,
right.
Like, not because she couldn't do it, just because if she was doing it the whole time, she'd be like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Right. They'd say, where is she? She's like, she's out killing
basically,
somebody.
You'd just be like, where's the queen? I don't know. Are you going to stop her? Because she can look like whatever the fuck she wants to. Like, what do you want me to do?
I can be the queen. You never know.
Yeah, right? Like, that's just way too fun. Like, making her queen would just limit her power. Right?
Yeah, true.
But, like, when Dany's coming through, and the fact that she smirks at the people when her dragons fly over, no matter how much she thinks she's of the people, she's not. Like, she's really good at being a Mother Teresa and liberating and doing all of that. And, like, as long as people think that she is helping, they're cool. But when she comes into a place that's like the North and it's like, we don't fucking know you, and they're not really even being rude. It's just more like, I never seen anybody like you before kind of thing. And you're like, all these people are marching in. But like when her dragons fly overhead, it's like, haha, there's your bitchy stank eye. Like, if that was Jon would have had his dragons probably stay back.
Right.
Like,
or he would be like, okay, look, everybody who's here, like, here comes some dragons.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm prepping you for this.
And and
I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because I don't want to stop your conversation on this right now, but I want you to push pause, because we needed to discuss more of this scenario later on at Winterfell. So let's move forward just through this. But there's a definite portion and something that someone says that is exactly what you're talking about, and why she shouldn't lead, because she's not.
I mean, you could just say it. You just, like, you don't have to skirt around it.
Okay. Fine. Then I'll just move. I'll move to the end of the episode for a hot second because everybody who's listening definitely watched the show.
Yeah, right. Everybody knows it.
when Sam finally tells Jon in the crypt his lineage, and Jon's first reaction is like, my father. He's like throwing things in front of it so he doesn't have to deal with this. Like the first thing he does is like, my dad lied, or my dad lied to me the whole time. Like, I can't believe that. And Sam's like, okay, get past that part.
Well, I even like how Sam was like, just like, no, you're looking at it wrong. Like, you wouldn't be here if he didn't do what he did. So just
Robert would have had you killed immediately.
Yeah, like, so just go ahead and shut the fuck up on that train.
Right. And then there's a back and forth between them where Jon says, Dany's queen. And Sam says, she shouldn't be. And then Jon, like, takes a long hesitation and he's like, well, that's treason. And Sam replies with, that's the truth. And it kind of shuts Jon up for a second. And Sam says, you gave up your crown to save your people. Yeah. Would she do the same? And the fact that...
Oh, she cares who's on the throne. She wants that fucking throne.
Right. I guess the fact that this situation is going to throw such a monkey wrench and everything shows why she's all about the throne no matter what. Yes, she's up north. Yes, she's going to fight the White Walkers, but it's because she has, Jon has it in tow as well. Like she knows that there's going to be no kingdom left at least.
Yeah, but her whole argument with Jon was essentially like, if you want me, like she was literally going to go, I just won't do it. Like, I mean, the way she presented it to Jon was, bow to me and you can have my dragons and our armies will join. Like that was kind of
right, because she already made him give up his throne, give up his crown to be. She wouldn't help him unless he wasn't
quote unquote king of anything.
Right. So she does. Yeah. So the whole point, her assistance at any point is only if he bent the knee. So that was the point. Thank you for making my point for me.
Yeah.
That's why I have a double. That's why I have two people on the podcast because I can't do this shit on my own.
At the end of the day, like, Dany is still working under the presumption that her and her dragons are quote unquote invincible.
And she's also working on the fact that she thinks she is the rightful heir.
Yeah, and that is cool.
She's been told this her entire life.
Don't get me wrong. Like, if I had been raised that was
from birth.
Mine from birth and someone took it, like, I would be all help it. But at no point, though, has she ever shown a sign in this series that she was willing to
budge.
Yeah,
sacrifice.
Once she got it. Like before, when she was, in the Dothraki camp and stuff like that, that was all forced. And then that was her.
True. And let me restate that from a second ago. It's not that she was raised from birth as being the heir, but her brother was, and as soon as he died, she knew, I'm it.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. It's not from birth. It was her brother, but then he got his golden crown and he's done. So, yeah.
But, and then that whole part of her was her working her way to be an equal, and then she gets the army and then she goes about it, but at the end of the day everything has still been her butt in that throne. Like, yeah, the White Walkers are coming and all that, but I mean, she fucking literally told Jon, like, well, would you give up King of the North to get my dragons? Like, and he was like, yeah, sure, whatever it fucking takes. Like, I've seen the things, whatever. Literally, he was a married man at the end of an argument where he goes, I don't know what else I can fucking tell you or give you or say to you to make this okay. But you are going to just browbeat the fuck out of me on this, aren't you? Like, that's just how it's going to go. And sometimes as a dude, you put yourself in that situation and it's kind of like when your old man told you growing up, just fucking take it. You were in the wrong. Just fucking take it. And like, right. Jon is like, what else? Like, what else? Like, I mean, that is literally, he's at like, who was the one that made the joke of like, you did give your life for it already? Like, did he say that? Like, if somebody said that in this show, like, what was it saying? Like, oh yeah, he did. Cause he was like, I said I would give my life for the North, kind of like, and I mean, not everybody knows he died. You're kind of like, as the audience member, you went, you did, buddy. You did. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think, and I hope I'm like proven wrong. And this is just kind of like the end of the day, the throne really kind of becomes and we just get to see Dany and Jon be like good people.
No.
You know, like and I don't.
You can dream, sir.
But I don't see why not. I mean, like, the only thing you could really do to, like, fuck that from happening up is the White Walkers kill him, Cersei kills him. Because even if you throw in this wrench of, like, Jon's king or whatever, like, Jon at the end of the day would go, okay, if I'm king, then I circumvent it all and I give it to her. If that's what's going to get this going, right? Like,
right. He never wanted to be king.
yeah, so he would still at the end of the day make the, hey, we all worked out great, right? Like, I kind of want to see the bloodshed and all of that happen, but like the what if ending of just them two kind of standing and we don't get to see who's on the throne. Like, I want to see the throne in the middle and Dany on the left and Jon on the right, like looking at each other like they love each other, but they know they're cousins or whatever the fuck that situation works out to be. And
aunt and nephew.
Right, there you go. And then you have like the fucking throne just sitting in the middle.
Right.
And
what
then,
if no one wins the Game of Thrones? Is that
well,
what you're saying?
right. Well, yeah, like because the White Walkers have become the issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because really, honestly, if the White Walkers weren't here, Dany would run right in there, fucking smoke out whoever's in the way because she's got dragons and take it over.
Right.
So the throne has already become like a side story. It's not even of importance.
Oh, I wonder if the Battle of Winterfell, which we know is episode 3, we don't know what by the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they're not releasing the titles to the shows, like to each episode, until after. Until after.
On IMDb.
I know because you like being surprised. I know that. And everyone should know that you don't do it because you like being surprised and hate when things ruin them.
Like that bothers me. Like sometimes when you read so much shit about the after the episodes, I'm like, dude, it's like, when is knowing enough? Like, when can it just be characters on the fucking screen? Like, and like, let it be a moment of a show. It's like this whole fucking rabbit hole shit that gets made. I hate it. I don't can't stand it.
I do more of the back research, like where I can say this happened and this also happened on these things in the past. I don't do very much forward looking because it could go so many ways and there's really it's just like spitballing anything for Star Trek. Like, you don't know that they could, at some point, they could take it and go in a different direction. You may know what the history story is and who Azor Ahai is or whatever, but you don't know if Jon's going to drive a friggin' smoldering sword through Dany's heart to make Lightbringer and become the,
right? Like,
you're not going to know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I like to watch the shows, especially for stuff for the podcast, like I'm in the show. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I watch a show like I'm just the peasant dude that's just the guy that actually gets to see all this shit unfold. And I don't ever want to be like the guy that knows something about someone I shouldn't in the show, right? Because I'm the peasant dude. Like, I'm not royalty or anything. So, like, why the fuck would I know any more information about this guy unless it's kind of folded out in front of me? And, like, I like that part. And it's cool when you tell me stuff because I'm like, ooh, but, like, I know if I started reading that shit, it would almost make me want to not watch the show anymore. Like,
right.
Because then it's like, but now I feel like I know you. Like, I want to know you because I feel like you've just interacted with my life. Like, I feel like I know you now because you are a character. And I went and found out your real fucking name, and now it's ruined because it's a really bad name. Like, whatever, right? Or it's like listening to a radio host and you have a mental image built up in your head. And then you actually see him for the first time and you go, oh shit, was I way off?
Way off. Right. I hear you. And you know what? And that's what makes this podcast good, is because like I have this deep rabbit hole information and then I can throw stuff off you, and with your peasant watching that you do, like you could actually
hashtag peasant watching.
Yeah, you can ground me from some of these crazy things. And that's some of the other shows. Like even with Star Trek, it's like it's the same way. As a Trekkie, I'm in it for I've been in it for decades, and you're like, I enjoy the show, which makes it, you get to tell me, we're like, dude, you're just crazy, like you're going way too far. There's no way that's gonna happen. Like, I need that. I need somebody to rein me in.
And it's funny because like this has always kind of been the kind of nerd that I've always been this way. Like even when I was buying comics and stuff all the time, like I never did like when they released like an annual about, say, Wolverine, or they did one of the like comic dictionaries about the characters and you got to know they were from this planet or this is their height or their color. I'm like, I don't want to fucking know any of that. I don't want to know. I don't I don't want to know them like they're a coworker. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to know them as a passerby. Like,
right.
Like I want everything to be holy shit. Let me flip my camera open. Like that guy's doing something really crazy in this oncoming traffic. Like that's what I want it to be.
Right.
Because I remember like talking to my buddies growing up, and like when you do the old like, all right, well I pick Wolverine, well I pick Deadpool, I pick Omega Red or whatever. Like you're going, and then like we would start talking about him, and they'd be like, yeah, well blah blah blah, his powers to like the 1000th degree, and I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? And like they pull out a card, and I'm like, oh shit, I got that card. And they're like, well, how did you not know it? And I go, oh, I never turned it over. I never read the back of it. I just looked at the fucking picture and I put it in the goddamn card case, and I was like, it's a beautiful display.
You're a top skim. I know a little bit about everything when it comes to nerd stuff. Like I'm not digging down in that stuff because it's because you're, and honestly, if you started digging, I'd lose you for like 3 days. I'd be like, hey, where you at, man? You'd be like, I'm deep into this rabbit hole of this. I'll be back in a couple days.
Right? Like all of a sudden I just come out like completely dressed differently and like tattooed with affiliations to shit, like I'm all in, man. Told you this is why I don't do it. I have an addictive personality. I'm all fucking in now.
Oh man. All right, so then we get Danny and John arrive at Winterfell proper, and they're greeted by the Stark House. It's reminiscent of the first episode of the series again. Also, with it being the first episode, Ned asks like, "Where's your sister?" And they're like, "I don't know." And like she runs up late with the helmet on and stuff at the very last second. Well, this time Arya's just not there, and like I think I forget. I think Sansa asked like, "Where is Arya?" They're like, "I don't know." So that was cool that she was just like not there again.
Yeah, she said she's probably running around or hiding or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And so you see, John hasn't seen Bran since he left Winterfell in season 1, like episode 1 or 2, I think 2, because he like gives him a kiss on the forehead when he leaves, when he's still unconscious from being pushed off the wall by Jaime. He greets him almost the same way, kissing the forehead. There was that weird like conversation with him where he's like, "You're a man," and he's like, "Almost." And it's like, what do you mean, dude? Like,
well, it's because he's the fucking three-eyed raven,
right? Like I'm not. Yeah, I was like, are we talking
that's
about?
What he's saying, because like, because he's not Bronn anymore. Like, I mean,
right.
he like that's what he's said. Like, the only reason he says things like that is for one, the audience, and two, the actual family members. It's like the thing that like someone who's hyper focused on shit points out. It's just like they're almost hard to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, you said that, but the emote that is supposed to come with it, the emotion is just wasn't there, right? Like.
That poor kid.
This
man.
is like this is Bronn just like dumbly enough reciting factual information, right? Like, and no one realizes that he is like it. This is him telling you that he's not that person anymore. Like Sam's the closest guy that gets it. He's like whatever Bronn is doing, or whatever Bran or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, say Bran just to keep it apart from Bronn. I know it's hard to say. Yeah,
I caught. I was like, I think there's an A in there.
I do like how the nickname I'm seeing on the internet is Sansa Snark.
Nice.
I was like, that's good. That's a genius. I was like, that's great. So her, it's cold in the north, man. It's cold. Like she is not pleased one bit, and like she's barely keeping it. Like she's just calm and cool. And this even leads to further conversations, like when they have the war council, when they're like, call back the Night's Watch because there's no fucking need for them to watch the wall anymore, so they can come fight here. And then we meet poor little Ned Umber, who's like, we need more horses and wagons to get all the people out of Last Hearth or whatever, and wherever all of his folks are. And she's like, well, give me what you can. And Sansa is smart. Arya says it this episode. She alludes to the fact that she has had people that she's looked to as being smarter, i.e. Tyrion, and she says, "I used to think you were the cleverest man alive." So Sansa, she's she's a bit slow on the uptake. Like if she's got to figure it out, she will get there. Once she gets there, she's gonna fuck your world up. Like she will own you by the end of it. So she, you know, her stuff with everybody's worried about fighting it. She's like, we can't feed everybody. Like I have planned to feed all of the Winterfell and all of its people through the winter. I did not count on 2 dragons and an entire army of Unsullied and everything else. Like I can't, like, what? How are we supposed to do that? Which no one is thinking that shit in that room, and that's good on her.
I guess.
I mean, to be honest with you, when you have your first battle at Winterfell, your mouths to feed is going to go down significantly.
Yeah, I mean, half of that planning is something that a kingdom already does for wintertime anyway. So really, that's not like her taking the initiative. That's just doing what needs to be done every fucking year. And yeah, she's a great tactician when it comes to playing this game now. But the one person that she needs to trust in Jon, like, is the one person she refuses to fucking trust deep down. Like, and half of the stuff that has been...
I don't think she trusts anybody but Arya, because the lone wolf dies, but the pack stays together, man. And Arya's trying to get Jon on there, but Sansa sees that Jon is not... He's not full on their side. Like, she's like, I can't trust you to make a decision that would benefit our family and our area that would hurt, you know, in the long run, Daenerys. You know what I mean? Like, he would not make that. He would not make a call, which is even worse. At least make a decision, either good or bad. But indecisiveness is what Jon is, like, famous for. Just that's gonna suck.
Yeah, but I mean, Sansa doesn't do anything to, like, help her cause. Like, when it comes to the people that need to be on her side, like she doesn't play the game well enough to be like Littlefinger and move all the pieces in the background and still present the good face. Like, she's like, oh, I don't fucking like you. She's like the popular girl and that doesn't like the nerdy kids. Like, when they walk by each other, like, you can just sense the fucking aura. You're like, ooh, they do not like each other. Like, that is how she is with everybody. And, like, don't get me wrong. Again, terrible fucking life. But there's also been quite a few times where you went, why didn't you just do that to this person, like, right here, right now? Or why didn't you tell this, and this to this one person right here, right now? And 3/4 of your problems would have fucking stopped.
True, but once she starts moving her pieces, she can do it.
I'm going to say something fucked up, and I hope she dies violently.
Who, Sansa?
Yeah, I hope she gets her fucking...
there went all the listeners. Sorry, guys. Nice having you. Thanks for tuning in for the first time and last.
I don't like her. I don't trust her. I think at the end of the day, she is no better than Cersei at this point. Like, she will take the North so she can be queen and take over the Iron Throne. Like, she'll just so she can go, I prove the pieces. Like, I hope, of all hope, that she gets fucked up. Like, I have not liked her for fucking seasons because she just does dumb shit.
Right. And we know you hate when smart people do dumb shit on TV.
Yeah, like, I hope that she goes to make a plan and it's one of those things where her plan is going to work, but it doesn't benefit her the way she wants and she ends up dying while the plan goes and helps the people it needs to help.
Possibly.
Yeah, I hope she, like, Arya,
she could never die.
She is about the only person that, like, if she dies in this show, like, I may lose the TV. Like, I hope I don't have a throwable object near me. Like, because she can never die. Everybody else on this show has done something, I feel, to merit a death at some point. You know,
I will agree with that. I don't hope on Sansa's death because I like when the sisters, like, I liked their whole plan to kill Littlefinger last season. Like, when Sansa finally wisened up, trusted somebody, Arya, her sister, and they were able to play that against Littlefinger. Like, she was able to play her naive, like, oh, I'm a naive little girl and I can't do anything. And then all of a sudden, nope, they turn around and slice your throat, call it a night. You know, that was fun to watch. And if Sansa dies,
and I think she's gonna do something like that, man. But I also think Sansa's gonna try to bite off a little bit more than she can really handle to, like, better herself position wise, and it's gonna fuck up. And it's gonna be one of those things where you're like, some people like you are gonna be like, oh man, I really wish he didn't die. And then there's going to be the other crowd that's like me and goes, oh, I've been waiting for that for 3 fucking seasons.
Like, you've been doing dumb shit for a long ass time. You've been doing
dumb shit, and a lot of the times when you could have fucking done the right thing, you did the wrong thing. Like, I know you've had a rough life, but being a good person is a choice. Like,
nice.
and like, I don't remember who I was talking to kind of about this, like season 4 maybe. And I was just like, yeah, dude, I don't understand why everybody thinks she's such a great person. Like, I'm like, she's not. Like, she's a Stark. Yeah, we all love the Starks. I was like, but she was a stuck-up little bitch when she was a kid.
Right.
Got shitted on by Joffrey, but she did quite a couple things in that arc in timeline that could have really helped her situation out. But she chose to be a bad person and then also have a little bit of, like, Stockholm Syndrome. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know part of that was there, too.
Like, at some point it's going to get good type thing?
Yeah, like, a little bit. But then she also just did a lot of shit that just fucked innocent people over, you know? Like, so, me at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, she can play all the cards she wants to help out the cause, but I don't think that she's going to have a happy ending. And I hope that it's, like, not necessarily, like, brutally violent. Like, I don't want some guy just, like, come in and, like, beat the fuck out of her because I want her to die. Like, I want her to die like someone that set a trap and then miscalculated and it backfires. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want her to lay this trap out and then the trap is set in motion and it does its thing, but her in-game piece can't happen and she gets taken out because it's kind of like if her game goes out, it's another bad thing that happens. Like, and Game of Thrones is like, yeah. We understand you want people to be good, but we're just showing you that deep down, everyone is really a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, so
noted. You want her to have a Wile E. Coyote death.
Yeah, I do kind of like just like a holy shit. I did not see that coming.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye out for it. We'll see what happens. We see Lyanna Mormont again, the lady bear who is like awesome. That kid is fantastic. Mm-hmm. She pretty much says what everybody in the room is thinking. Like, you left the King of the North, you came back under someone else's rule. Like, what are you doing for the North? And then Jon gives his like, chose the North. I don't ever want to be king, but you know, I'm doing what saves the North, and that brought you a fucking giant army. What else do you want me to do, guys? Like,
yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like,
quit putting the guy in charge who doesn't want to be in charge.
Well, yeah, that, and you guys all know this stupid, insane, murderous, mythical thing that we have all been raised by that was scary so bad that they built a giant fucking ice wall to keep them out. And you actually have documentation of the last time they were around, that everybody is not like, oh, that's old wives' tale story. Like, everyone's like, nah, man, that shit happened a couple thousand years ago. Like, fuck. And then when everybody gets together, their main quarrel is titles. Like, no one in that room should have said anything about that. Like, they should have, like, Sansa should have brought it up because she was left in charge. And then Jon should have said, this is what needed to be done to save your asses. And everyone should have been, yeah, that's cool. We got 2 dragons and like fucking 5,000 of these guys on horses fucking shit up. That's what we needed. We're good.
And a bunch of eunuchs who were like, awesome.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to die. So there's no guarantee the lady flying on the dragons is even going to be around. We could just throw a fucking piece of metal on anybody we want.
Exactly. At which point does it not matter?
Right?
We're all still theoretically under Cersei anyways. So calling him King of the North doesn't mean that you're going to have like, everything's going to be nice again. Everything's going to be fine. She's still going to march up here and have another battle. So, you know, that's coming down the road too. Even if during the Battle of Winterfell, they kill the Night King and that's all done, like all the White Walkers drop because he's the first and he's the one that if he dies, they all drop. You know, if that happens, you still have to deal with the Lannister army and all of that happening in that whole battle. So, you know, that's the part I don't know what we're going to get to because we only have so many episodes. That being said, like episode 3 is like, and 3 through 6 are all movie length, like an hour 20, hour 18, something like that. So plenty of time for all that shit to go down. But yeah, it's going to be insane. But yeah, so we talked about Tyrion and Sansa and her talking to him. Okay, so Arya and Jon got to meet for the first time since episode one or two, I guess, of season 1. And I have to admit, like, I didn't cry like my normal self, but I was waiting for it because watching her, because I love that, like, he's at the weirwood tree like Ned was back in first season, and she sneaks up on him, and like he's like, "How did you sneak up on me?" And she's like, "How'd you survive a dagger in the heart?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I didn't." And like her face, like you saw her, she had her like game face on, but like you saw her, like her eyebrows broke first, and like then I was like, I've been waiting.
When they hug, and then they pan in on her face, and like she smiled a little bit, like part of me was like, I wonder if she's just so good, like she threw that in there, or if that smile kind of came on because this was just gonna be one of their last hugs, like on camera kind of thing, you know, and it just happened to be like, that's the one.
It
right
was
there,
also
that's it.
It was also framed exactly like the hug that she gave him when he left Winterfell.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the whole over the shoulder, like the same way he hugged her when he left. So that was nice. That was a nice little get together. Like all the people, you just realize, like the actors like haven't had a scene together in 9 years or whatever. That's crazy. That's insane. And you're like family on the show, which is crazy. That's the same point where Arya says that she tells Jon, you know, because he was like, Sansa doesn't see, you know, Sansa's mad at me, and she's like, you listen, like Arya is the smartest she's the smartest of all of them, and she's family, and she's like, don't forget that you are too, which is kind of funny for later on when he gets told, because yeah, you're a Stark, but you're also, you know, the one that they're worried about you favoring, you're also one of them too. So, you know, that's all that family stuff and who you are is just really just coming to the forefront of this show for this, you know, especially now that Jon, now it's all out there. Now we have to deal with all the drama of him telling Dany or not telling Dany and how they're going to believe it. And let's see, what's next after Arya? Okay, let's go over. So then in the forge, Gendry's making, you can see them forging dragon glass into weapons and arrowheads, and he makes the Hound like a freaking war axe.
Yeah.
I was like, nice. I was like, hey, look, dude, like we know Endgame's coming, and Thor just got himself like literally the exact same weapon, but that's pretty fucking cool. So he's got his war axe, and so the Hound and Arya see each other for the first time, you know, meet each other face to face again. She saw them all in the procession, but so she sees the Hound, and he did what he said. What he didn't say was that it's actually good to see you. You know, it's been a while, but he did it in his own way, which was like, you know, you left me for fucking dead. She goes, don't forget, I robbed you too.
Yeah,
and
that's like watching like a scene in a movie or something. And it's like the old man taking the young kid into the barber, right? And he's like, well, we're going to do barber talk. And they walk in and he's like, hey, Tom, a fucking piece of shit. How are you doing, you son of a bitch? You know, and like, then the young kid says something. The old man looks at him and goes, who are you talking to? Like, that was their interaction. Like, we know the world's fucked up. We know it's shitty. You tried to kill me. You left me for dead, but I'm still here. We're on the same side. We'll come back to our business later. Right? You know, like.
Yep.
There it is.
And then she sees Gendry for the first time since season, I think, 3. So there, and he was messing with her like he used to, calling her milady all the time. And she's like, shut the fuck up. But she gives him a design for a weapon that she wants him to build for her. And let me tell you what, all my digging and all of my other watching of people who have talked about this show, like I've heard everything from a spear with a detachable end to it that has, you know, a dragon glass spear to like a spear with a dragon glass on one end and like her, you know, like something Valyrian steel on the other end for all we know, because we one of the trailers showed her, you know, kind of fighting with her with a staff of some sort. It doesn't mean she didn't just pick it up off of somebody, but we know she's trained in it. People have said it's some sort of like throwing like ranged weapon more than a spear, like something that I don't know. There's about 400 different things people have said it could be. I think she has Needle, which is her mid-range sword. She has her dagger, which is close range, and she needs something that's longer. So I like the idea of the spear. I like the idea of something that fires, like shoots, like bow and arrow type thing, or some sort of crossbow type situation. I don't know. no one in the internet can agree what that design was. So I will be interested in seeing what that. We know we'll see it next episode because we know she's got to use it in episode 3. So hopefully we'll have to wait 1 week to figure out what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was. It's called a knot, and it's like
N-O-T? K-N-O-T?
No, like N-A-T, like N-A-apostrophe-A-T. And it's kind of like a mythical weapon that is, it kind of looks like a small spear, but it can change its form to a dagger, to a sword, to like an extendable whip type thing and shit like that. So like when I saw that, like that's immediately what I thought of. Like one of the books I read.
Spell it for me again.
N-A-apostrophe-A-T. But it's from like the Sandman Slim stories, and that's what I thought it was.
The knot is an intricately machined weapon with teeth, spikes, and spines that can be configured into a whip or a spear via triggers, and when fully extended via the spring-loaded mechanism is 10 feet long. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I read about it. We'll see. I mean, it's a very interesting weapon.
Yeah, but
there.
like when I saw it, like in the picture she gave, like from me reading those books, that was immediately like what popped into my head, and I was like, please, like let this kind of just be remotely to like what I'm thinking of. Because you remember the fighting game Soul Calibur?
Yes.
Remember the lady with the sword, but her sword would also act as like a whip?
Yes.
Like something like that is like when I see that thing, I'm like, I just feel like it's gonna break apart into something that's just kind of like, oh shit. And like, of course, you know, Gendry's like the blacksmith of the gods kind of thing, right? Like I just don't.
It would be a little bit of letdown if it was a staff or a bow, right? Like, or an arrow. Like boring.
Yeah, like the hound shit makes great sense because it's big, he smashes, so you're just gonna watch him like just bludgeon shit. It's gonna be just awesome.
Rake through it, yeah.
But like her thing in my head needs to be something like quick and nimble but devastating. Like if she can move the way she moves and has like a whipping effect with a weapon, like I just feel like she's just gonna fucking just rake so many dead people with that thing.
Yeah, I do kind of want her to do a kill count with like someone else on the battlefield, like the Hound, like similar to Lord of the Rings when
when like Aragorn and Legolas were like 12, 36, you know, and he's like, what? And
it was it was Legolas and the dwarf.
That's name. That's right. Oh, the dwarf's name. Good lord, that's gonna fucking bother me because it wasn't Aragorn. Oh, why did you say that?
See, that's why I had to make sure we corrected that one. We own our shit. We're just two dads talking on mics, damn it.
Gimli.
Gimli. Didn't Jonathan Rhys Davis? That's not who played his character. It's somebody else. Yeah, Gimli. Yeah. But yeah, they
don't have real people names.
I kind of want Arya and the Hound to do something similar to that. Like for her and him to be fighting side by side and like her start wrecking shit just like he does. That would be cool.
Yeah, and then have like Gwendolyn come in there and fuck shit up too. Just all three of them. Just
no, because her and Tormund need to be doing that back to back, and then immediately after the battle, you have massive monster sex and make a big giant baby.
Yeah, I don't think our redheaded boy is gonna make it back.
Nah, see, he's my if he dies, like I'm gonna be real. I ain't gonna lose a TV, but I'm gonna be real pissed.
I did like how the show had like a bunch of great one-liners, and he's like, I love when he runs into
Dolores Ed.
Yeah, and he's like, he has blue eyes. My eyes have always been blue. You know, like
get back, he's got blue eyes. Yeah, that was great. There was a few humorous, like even when Tyrion and Sansa were talking about he's like, I haven't seen you since the wedding. He's like, I heard it was. He said, it wasn't that great of it. It wasn't that, the wedding wasn't really that great of a thing. And she's like, it had its moments.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's kind of hard to explain why your new wife runs away. You know, like thanks for leaving me with that one. FYI.
Yeah, and she's like, we both survived. You survived. You're fine. What are you worried about?
But it's so funny. Like I like that they said that because all of them have to realize that every one of them has gone through. Everybody that is there at Winterfell right now, even Jaime, like every one of them has gone through shit at the hands of
the person that's on the throne right now. Like every
or
single
somebody
one of
else at Winterfell currently.
Yeah, but the thing, what I'm pointing out is everybody though that is there at Winterfell right now has two common enemies.
True.
None of that other stuff matters right now, right? Like, so everybody that's there, like, I get it. This has always been a stab you in the back kind of thing. But at a certain point, like, I want to see, like, everybody's light bulb, like, across the board kind of click. And it'll probably happen in episode 3 when, like, all of a sudden a whole bunch of people start fucking dying when that shit shows up. Like, everyone will go, oh, fuck, it's
None of
really
this
real,
matters.
right? You know, like, and it kind of annoys me that just they're not all there yet. Like, you brought a dead guy to the queen, and like no one doesn't know that this shit's real. Like at this point, like you can't have 1,000+ people riding up on a place all talking about the same shit, and then like people still being like, "Sure about that, dude?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I get it when they got scared because you should. It's 2 giant dragons flying over your head. I don't give a fuck if you expect that coming or not. Like.
Right.
Like when a jet breaks the sound barrier when the Blue Angels is doing their fucking cool shit, like you still jump. It's a loud noise, right? Like,
very true.
I just wished, and I know it was only 1 episode, so we're supposed to have this, but like at a certain point, I'm like, I need smart people to start being a little bit smarter on TV. Just like when it comes to just normal shit. Like everybody in their day-to-day life, all the time, has something going on, and they all have to go, I just got to get through the day.
Right.
Like, where's that common goal? Like, when you walk into your office and you go, all right, those are the 3 people that I know I can have fun with today. Because we always have fun. Those are the 4 that I just work with. I don't even go over to the fucking corner. Like,
we don't mess with Karen back there.
Yeah, we don't go that way, right? Like, like I'm waiting for everybody to kind of have that, like, collective...
Come to Jesus?
Yeah, like, we're all on the same page. Like, why is everybody still doing this, like, snake eye shit? Like, if everybody's still doing this... I don't even know what to call it, but just the weird vibe that is throwing, like, all of next episode 2.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be like, all right, guys, everybody's got to, like, get the fuck over that at
right,
this point.
Because we know...
There's just too much shit coming down the road to have my TV time wasted by this shit, right?
I know, and the worst part is you're right. Next episode is going to be the exact same way. There may be a little bit more action on certain things, but yes, Jaime comes into Winterfell and they have a big council. Like, why shouldn't we kill you? Because he's one more person to swing a fucking sword right now.
And I'm cool if there's like the first part of it is kind of like because Jaime's there, there's still the feeling out again, and of course Jaime's going to probably go, hey guys, I don't give a fuck what you think my sister's gonna do.
She ain't doing shit.
She ain't showing up. That's why I fucking left. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Right.
I'm with you. Let that be the first 15 minutes, and then we need Tormund to figure out how to get around, and then tell everybody dead.
Jaime, Jon, Sansa, Tyrion, Dany, all go. We in this, and they all call Captain Planet and fucking go do their shit. But if it's like any more of this
drama,
who's wearing the crown to set up shit down the road? It's like Game of Thrones. I appreciate you for like keeping it in the moment with the story, and yes, that's
intimate character.
I guess that's kind of how it's gonna go if they lived. But this is the last season. Like I don't need any of that future possible planning. Like everything that needs to be happening in every one of these episodes need to be Monday. What happened Monday? What happened Tuesday? What happened Wednesday? What happened Thursday? And then who survived?
Right. That's it. That's the 6 episodes you get.
Yeah. That is it. And I really hope they don't continue to do this weird, like, drawn out to the throne thing. Right? Like, because I really don't think we're going to ever get to the throne. Like,
it would be a major leap. Yeah. I mean, it depends on if they just like.
I don't think we're going to see any of these characters sit down on it, and then they'll do the whole beginning shit because they've already got that lined up, and then HBO's banking that he finishes the fucking books, and then they can just bring in the new cast and maybe some of the old cats just to get like whatever stories going that need to happen, right? You know, like, but yeah, I hope it's a lot more of, if I'm doing this, shifty-eyed side glances at these people, then
these spy versus spy things. It better be for something that gets accomplished like that day.
Like that episode.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
The shit needs to pay off right away.
Yeah,
there's no building this shit through seasons anymore. We don't have time.
Or it's something that we go, all right, it's not happening today, but we know that based on what it was said, it just is waiting for this person to hit this location or come across this other person. And we're like, well, we know that's going to fucking happen. So just what episode is that going to happen in? Like, that's cool. But anything that would project beyond, in my mind's eye, like of where this could end. Because I really think the only way that this thing is ending is just basically with a big final battle of White Walkers of some point, and then you may have like the tail ending off of who's going to ride off into the throne kind of thing.
Right.
But like, I don't want anything beyond that. Like, I don't want anything beyond the day the White Walkers stop existing. Or if they win, I don't want anything beyond them winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't fucking future plan that shit.
Right. So Jon gets to ride his dragon finally. That happened this episode 2. Mm-hmm. So we now have Dany on Drogon, which is named after Khal Drogo, her past husband, and now Jon is on Rhaegon. Is that because it's Rhaegar is his father, so it's the dragon named after his father, which is cool. So it's like, okay, and I do like how he he flew all around, like he made sure everybody in Winterfell saw that shit. I mean, whether or not he was doing it on purpose, he was like, "Look at me, I'm on a fucking dragon,"
which is funny too, man, because the whole key with the thing with the dragons is like the dragons are only in tuned with
blood.
Yeah, like what Targaryens, right? Like
and we didn't see Jon interact with anybody after he flew the dragon because all the people in North have been told those stories about, like, Arya loved the stories of the sisters, the women that were on the dragons, Rhaegar, and she loved it, and like they've been told those stories. Those are lore. So everybody's like, there goes our past king on a fucking. So what is he? And then so all of this has to come out. Hopefully next episode, and they'll knock it out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, how is Dany not
figure that shit out?
Because before it was like last season we saw Jon
like touch
one, and that was kind of like, all right, that's cool, but Dany's like right there,
right?
But at no point are you like a quote unquote dragon rider unless you are of Targaryen blood. Like, that was just the whole gimmick. What the thing is they don't listen to anybody but this bloodline. That's just how this shit works, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that he can just be like, what's up, and get on, and the fact that Dany's like, I'm so powerful, I'm the queen of dragons, like, they listen to me and anybody can hop on them. I mean, you got to be really into yourself. Like,
well, she does have, I'm surprised her head can fit through the door to get in the chambers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and like, when your whole foundation of dragons has been tied to a bloodline, like the fact that Jon just hopped up on it, she should have looked at him and been like,
well, you're not dead.
Fuck, we're family. like that. I mean, there's just no way you couldn't have done that, because based on, like you said, everybody in the North was told this. Like, everybody everywhere has said, we had to kill that whole fucking family's bloodline because of them being able to manipulate dragons. It wasn't really a mad king thing. Like, yeah, he went fucking crazy. But at the end of the day, it was because the guy could fucking tell a dragon kind of what to do, right? Like, that's
right.
Really what it boiled down to. It wasn't because he just woke up and got fucking crazy with the shit. It was like, we'll never, ever be able to do anything from under this family as long as there are dragons and they're alive. Like, so let's just get rid of them.
I am looking for, yes, I know you're tired of the drama and the dumb drama, like people being dumb and then making drama. But I am interested in the scene where Jon and Dany finally can, figure their shit out.
Oh, like, no, I am too, because like, I hope Jon and like one of them goes, I mean, honestly, I should have seen that coming. Like, you, right?
You were on my dragon.
You said on a fucking dragon. Like, I was caught up in the moment, and I really wanted to bang you under that waterfall, but then I realized you were family, so we got to sort this shit out.
Right. Are we still going to bang or are we not going to bang?
Yeah, I mean, at this show, like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, keep fucking, just figure out that you're actually related. Like, you guys should know this by now.
Right. And so let's go to Dany and Jorah and Sam. Like, Sam doesn't make it out to even see John. Like, Sam hasn't greeted John yet. When he's like either so into whatever books he's reading or whatever happens. But the first person that Sam runs into is the Queen and Jorah. And, you know, it's cute. Now, here's a cool thing. So it's kind of an offshoot joke that she's like, you know, you saved Jorah. So, you know, what can I do for you? And he's like, well, I got some books I checked out at the library that I just kind of stole, so can you just like kind of pardon me on that?
Yeah, that was funny.
Which is funny, but it's also literally the proof that proves that she's not queen.
Mm-hmm.
Those books, like he took the books that said Jon is the king, you know, the rightful heir. So while my first watch I was like, it's funny. My second watch I was like, oh, those are the books that he's talking to about Jon anyway. So she's like, you know, and so like. The way that conversation goes, so, you know, he's like, I'm, you know, Samuel Tarly, and like you can see immediately, like Jorah's like, fuck, and even her face drops, and she's like, you know, as in
your dad's name and your brother's name,
yeah, and like you know, when she tells him that she, you know, he didn't bend the knee, his father didn't bend the knee, like he's sad, but he's like, you know. They didn't really have a great relationship. And he's like, well, I guess at least I'll be allowed home now. My brother's the Lord. And she's like, about that. He kind of stood with your dad and I burned them both. And he was he was
devastated.
He was devastated. And that dude has always looked like when he cries, like I want to cry just because like how sad that dude looks. Like, so he did a great job. Like the actor, like it was just fantastic. And I was like, man, that sucks real hard. And I like that he's in that vulnerable moment and he's crying. He asks to leave. And like, you can literally see him step out of that door and like the anger hits him and he composes himself. He goes, well, I'm fucking telling him now. Like, I'm going to go fuck. I don't even need this little fucking wheelchair kid to tell me, even though I go have a powwow real quick. And the kid's like, it's time. He's like, yeah, you're fucking right. It's time. Mm-hmm. And so he goes down and finds Jon. They had the conversation. We already talked about all that stuff, and we'll see. I do like that. Like, I don't think Bran moved from like where they greeted Jon. Like he just sat in his chair. Like, nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna chill here. I'm waiting for an old friend.
Yeah, I mean, because I think even when like I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, "How'd you get here?" Like I think it may have been Sam, but it's just like, yeah. How long y'all gonna leave this handicapped guy just sitting out here in the middle of the fucking, like, because it wasn't like he was, you know, like wheeled up high somewhere so he could just like overlook everything or whatever. Like he was just kind of like off to the right of the main gate, like in the main courtyard, just there.
Sitting there. Yeah, just staring at everybody.
Fucking day. Like he didn't change locations. Like when they got there, that's where he was. Mm-hmm. Like, and then it was nighttime. That's where it was. Like, it just was fucking like, no one moved the handicap guy.
And then Jaime arrives the next morning. Like, it's the day after. He's still sitting in that fucking chair. Yeah. And, you know, that's cool because they haven't seen each other since he pushed him out a window. And that was like, you know, the guy was right. You know, they had him cloaked. And I'm like, I wonder who this is. But, like, as we realized that Bran is still there, it's like, oh, okay, it must be Jaime. And it was. And we're like, and like his face, like he's like, yeah, I'm at Winterfell, you know, we're going to do some shit. And as he turns, he looks and like the realization, like his whole face just like, ugh. He's like, damn it. Mm-hmm. So that will be the drama for the episode next.
Well, it'd be funny too when like Jaime goes to like talk to him. Cause like, you know, like Jaime's turned a leaf as much as Jaime
as much as he can. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, there's just certain things, whether he lives or dies or not, like he's always going to be haunted by things he's done, you know, kind of thing. Like Bran, like that one will probably always eat at him a little bit. But like the funny part is he's going to go have that like face to face because he's
a better person,
and he's going to go apologize. And Bran is just the 3-eyed raven, and he's going to sit there and like talk lunacy to him and be like, I don't care. None of that matters. I'm not him anymore. And like Jaime's just going to be like, what the fuck? And it's almost gonna like ruin Jaime even more because he's doesn't know what's going on, you know? He's gonna go, I pushed him out of the balcony. I broke his fucking legs.
I broke that kid's
brain. Like, oh my God.
Oh god, they would never do it, but like having him react as if he's like mentally challenged now, be like, oh, he's like, I did not realize that you were like handicapped like that.
Well, dude, not even having him like
start yelling at him louder like you do when someone can't understand you.
yeah, not even doing that, just like having him like dumbfounded by the conversation and just kind of like walk away and just have this like odd little comical moment like in there, and it is just like, what the fuck? And honestly, I would appreciate that.
True.
Like if it was just Bran being so just deadpan direct and like Jamie taking it in because he's not dumb, right? Like he's understanding that it's not him anymore, and of course like Bran's gonna say some fucking like only third eye bullshit too, right? So like it's gonna click in Jamie, but then Jamie's never gonna get to like really talk to Bran, and it's almost gonna like fucking break him again because he's just like, what the fuck has happened to this goddamn Stark family? Like, oh my god, like, you know, like I wonder how many times in his head is like he goes, that's my fault,
right?
Like, or that's my family's fault. Like, you know, like there's a Lannister name attached to each one of these fucking things.
True. Even Sam, when he was telling Jon in the crypt, he was like, I've got this Maester's records, and Bran's got whatever Bran has.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's the way he says it. He's like, I don't even know what the fuck's with this kid, but he fucking knows everything, and it's really weird, and he stares at everybody all day long. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, he's becoming a real wheeled about creeper. So he needs to do some party tricks. He needs to work into some things so people like understand that he's got like some powers. Because I kind of want him to be the catalyst of the battle, like at Winterfell. Like he starts like doing some crazy shit. You know?
He probably will be, because he already fucking warged into the goddamn dragon's eyes. Like when they were looking for the Night King and they were flying around. Like I thought
that
he
was
like
just ravens. He was
that
just
ravens.
Yeah.
But
the Night King and him have a connection because Night King shut that shit down.
Yeah. So like I'm waiting for him to like have the old Mr. Mind battle, and it's for that goddamn dead dragon.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
Right? Like that one like if we're gonna give a Professor Xavier like fucking coup de grace moment, like give me the kid that can pop into the third plane, fucking flying a dead dragon. Like let me see what the kid that got his childhood taken from him from a balcony, and then like his self taken from whatever that overwrite was that happened. Like I want like a little bit of like pissed off Bran to like pop through when he's in that dragon, and you just go, yeah, buddy, get him, baby, get him. Like, you know, I want one of those scenes where like the good guy's fucking up something and you just feel good for him because you're like, you needed that, man. Like you needed that. So right. that would be cool to me if like you get one of those things where it's like, you know, they think Jon like saved the day or whatever, but it was really like Bran in the background, like doing the whole mental game.
Well, that reminds me, a couple of the reunions we didn't get to, not reunion, but like meets I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked Lyanna Mormont and Jorah Mormont to actually meet, because he's been gone so long. She probably wasn't born when he was first exiled, I think. So that'd be kind of cool. Like her, like, and her knowing like his story, like, and the way how snarky she is, like that's probably just going to be a cute little combo if they ever get to like talk face to face on screen. We also I would love to have seen Jon and Ghost. I would love Ghost. Ghost still has to pop up somewhere. We need to see Ghost again.
Yeah.
And I kind of need Arya's wolf to make its way back to Winterfell too. Like him and his pack. Like they need to show up. They need to show up out of like left field when they're battling the Whites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I kind of think that was the whole thing with Arya's wolf. Like that was like that whole.
He's like, peace. I got my pack.
Yeah, like letting it go thing. Like I think when she realized that, you know, she was going to basically be a person with no face, she can't have the identity of the wolf either. Right now, she also kind of took that whole system and said, "Fuck it, I'm going to do what I want." So,
right,
like, I it wouldn't be a far stretch if like the wolf came back, especially with its pack, because her pack's kind of together now.
Come back together.
And then
look at you, symbolism, man.
You have all the symbology, you know, right? I'm good at namiology. And, but like, I mean, that scene was just a really big scene. right? And when it was kind of realizing that she's breaking off, I just don't think they would write it back in. But like I said, she kind of took that whole fucking
loner wolf thing and flipped on its head, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it wouldn't be surprised if it's just kind of comes back into the fold. Now, like John's wolf, I feel like he's back now, so like all of a sudden his wolf should just appear, right? Kind of thing. Like it's just you're back in Winterfell. I sensed it. He walks outside, and then there's just like his wolf sitting there, and he's like, "Oh fuck, awesome." And then like dragons fly by or some shit. Like the wolf just looks at him like, "I don't give a fuck," right?
Right.
Because like it'll be to me, it's like one of those things where like when Dany rode in and she kind of made like the shitty little face when everybody cowered when the dragons flew over. A lot of people took that as like, hoo, yeah, you're kind of showing them you got dragons, where like I took it as like, this is just a throne thing. Like this is a display of power. Right. And like if Jon's wolf doesn't bat an eyelash as like the dragons are nearby, again, it's like the show's just kind of telling you it's the fucking dude. Like his wolf doesn't give a fuck about the dragons kind of thing, like, or it's just, you'll see with like something like that. It's like, this is how you get the houses to be, like he is the dragon. He is the wolf. Like what else do you fucking want? Right.
Ice and fire, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so last little bit, like we already mentioned when Dolores Ed, the guys from the Night's Watch, meet up with Tormund and everything, but they are exploring Last Hearth and they come across poor little Ned, named after Ned.
I loved your tweet. I was fucking watching the show and I was still in the beginning of it, and you were already like almost done with it, and then I saw your thing. You were like, "Thanks HBO for the second to last scene. Like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to sleep at night." And I was like, I wonder what he's talking about. And then I got to this scene.
Right.
And I was like, this has to be the fucking scene he was talking about. And normally, like, little kids dead, I just don't like. That's... I had one and I was like, no, that's not anything I care to see. But for whatever reason, like, I already knew he was a White Walker. So it was like, yeah, dude, you don't... I don't care that you're dead. But when he started wailing, that's when I was like, don't like any of that.
That was
any of that.
That screaming, I was like, boy, whoever mixed that.
I didn't like how, like, when they set him on fire, like, I don't, like, there was enough accelerant on the limbs, or the limbs they used were just fatty enough, but I hated how, like, they started to burn out, like, individually, like, around the circle, like, as the thing was screaming, and I was just like, I need all this to get engulfed in fire a little bit quicker. Like, this doesn't need to be an art display.
Well, now that swirl pattern has showed up numerous times in the series, and I have all them for you in my head. So the last time we saw it was last season when Jon was walking Dany through the Dragon Glass mines. He was showing her all the cave drawings by the Children of the Forest. That center with the swirl pattern around it was there. We also saw it on the Fist of the First Men when they were looking for the people that were the Night's Watch guys that were there, whoever they were looking for. They didn't find them, but they found like a display. I think it may have been horses or I don't know if it was people or horses' bodies, but they were all in that same shape. And then the major one, which is where this has to tie into something more than just like their artistic dead people, but
right.
When we saw the flashback of the Children of the Forest creating the first White Walker to battle the first men, and they had him against that tree, and they stabbed him with the Dragon Glass dagger and turned him into the first, the Night King. When they pulled back above the tree, there was stones and stuff that were around the tree that were in that shape. So the tree the first White Walker, the first Night King was made on, was in that pattern. So that's the place we've seen that pattern. The most recent being the caves at the Targaryen castle. So that's it. And that's the whole episode. We've been through it. We're over 2 hours of this podcast, and that's the best part. Fun fact for anybody who's still listening, and I listened to this, I saw this on the making of featurette, when Kit Harington was doing the stunt work for the riding the dragon, so he's on like it looks like a really crazy green, like bull, like when you ride a bull in a bar.
Mhm.
Apparently, because it has different sections. One time while they were filming, he got his right ball caught in between the two sections and couldn't holler stop. So for some moments, he was being flung. He was being flung by his right ball. I was like that's rough. Just being swung around by your testicle. That's really crazy. Anyways, that's
like that gif you see of like the fucking squirrel stuck in the goddamn bird feeder, like spinning in circles by its nuts.
Exactly. All right, so that's the episode. We are out here for Game of Thrones. The next podcast episode you will get will be the season finale of Discovery. We'll get that out here as soon as it airs or soon thereafter, and then we will be all on Game of Thrones starting next Sunday and onward until the end of this journey we have started on.
Yo.
So thank you everybody who tunes in for these long ones. I hope you had a good time running or mowing your lawn or doing whatever that takes a long amount of time. Corey's going to sleep. And we're out of here. We'll catch y'all next week.
See you guys.